We learned that the risk of high reward may not outweigh the risk of losses. When we invested in Alibaba, we for sure thought we would receive a high reward because of how everything was moved virtually due to COVID. However, because we assumed such high reward, we invested a lot of money. But unfortunately, it dropped significantly, and we lost a lot of money. Alibaba was one of the first companies we invested in, and from that point on, we invested our money wisely, looking at how the risk of high reward might not outweigh the risk of the losses.
Now, why trust us? We maintained a very diverse portfolio with different sectors, such as medicine, we had environment, we also had travel and retail. We also showed a lot of patience as a team. We remained level-headed. And there's a quote that says, when you jump the gun, you risk getting shot. We try to keep our composure, not just look at a stock, oh, it's rising and just invest in it. We try to look at things over time. And that ties into what I was saying. Situation, things could easily change. We have to look at that. And that goes in with observing the news and current events, keeping.
Am I losing you?
Companies and environmentally friendly companies. Am I breaking up or?
Yeah,
okay.
Little bit.
Okay. So with our established companies, we felt that we would get a good reward out of them. They had a safe floor. And then with the environmentally friendly companies, that's again one of NGN goals. We're trying to advocate with those companies, and we also felt like they gave us a good reward in the end, helped our portfolio.
Okay.
That's our presentation. Are there any questions?
Surely. So can you just elaborate based on like what you have learned? What will be your strategy moving forward? Like if I have another investment of $100,000, like what would be your goals in terms of like going forward for this year, as we have the new president and we will be focusing more on the clean energy and these things. So like what are your goals and how would you approach the investment moving forward?
Manish, you want to answer that or?
Yeah, so as we'd mentioned before, we'd already considered how the new president-elect might affect due to how, at least between the two parties, there were large differences with how they viewed certain aspects and how that might affect different stocks in that area. For example, when we looked at specific environmentally friendly companies, we knew that our previous president-elect did not support climate change and did not believe in climate change, and that the president-elect did believe in climate change, and that greatly affected how we looked and viewed at which stocks would rise or which stocks would have a greater scope for rising. Similarly, what changes that president-elect might make in the future, we will always keep that into consideration. And as we went through the game or the stock market game, we always considered what news might affect. Now, things such as storming the Capitol, these are not necessarily events that do affect stocks, but they do affect how the government runs, and that will greatly affect economy in the country, and that it may not be the best time, or it may be the best time to invest in certain companies. For example, companies right now, there is an environmentally friendly company known as Plug Power that has been going up 15% over the course of the last 4 days, 15% respectively. And companies such as that, especially environmentally friendly companies, we're keeping an eye on them currently just to invest in the future for ourselves or for future investors.
Adding to what Manish said, Misha was talking about Alibaba before. I think we learned a lot from that. Not just to look at the rising and then just suddenly invest in something. Because of their drop, we learned how to research better, how to analyze better, and that further will take us farther in these investments.
Okay, so mostly you want to mitigate the geopolitical risks. What other risks did you consider? Like, I understand like during the COVID time, you did consider like the Pfizer, it was a good pick. The sectors that you chose, technology sector, like, can you talk about that?
Yeah, in the technology sectors, are you asking why we chose those or what about
Why
them?
you chose specific stocks that you had invested, and what were the thought process in that? So
Yeah,
just want to understand, like, how do you approach a particular sector, and how do you choose the type, which stock to invest in that particular sector?
okay, got it. So for the technology, our main things were Google and Bilibili. Google, we all know, well established. We chose that because we've seen over time Google has grown significantly in their company. And like I said before, they're not a company that will like Tesla where they might just boom suddenly in one day or 2 days, but they will continue to rise. Um, and give a good reward, a safe reward where you can be like, okay, we invested in Google. Even if our other stocks do not give us a reward, we can trust that Google can give us, whether it be a high profit, they can give us some kind of profit, which is something you want in your portfolio because not everything can be high risk, high reward. You want some where you can do low risk and still get a decent reward out of it. So that was our mindset with Google. And especially, and technology is something that's on the rise, of course. It's in our lives. It will continue to be in our lives. So especially Tesla is a mix of those. It has the technology, it has the environment. That's why it's such a great company to invest in because it's able to do both of them. And like Monish is saying, companies like those where they're part of multiple sectors will continue to be valuable for us and something we will look to invest in.